Right, I'm here with CJ Joyner, well known to many people I'm sure as a Coventry super fan. Would you describe yourself as a super fan?
I think we're all the same, aren't we, really? We all suffer as much as the other one, everyone else. So.
Yeah. How many games have you been to for Coventry? How many would you say? Do you know?
This season or
ever?
There's actually an app, and I think I've entered all the games in. I think it's 908 or 909
so
or something.
100 games
like
away from a big
big
milestone.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. What was your first game?
Everton. We lost 1-0 at Highfield Road.
When was that?
It's about I think it was 92.
So who was playing for us and who was playing for?
Who was playing for us? I think I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Sort of Phil Babbs.
Yeah, that sort of it. It was that sort of era. Yeah.
Wegley. That.
Yeah, I was with my dad and my granddad, and yeah, that kind of kicked off my love for Coventry City, really. Was it a love, even though it was a defeat? You said 1-0 defeat, yeah. Was it? Yeah. At that age, you don't really notice the score, to be honest.
So how old were you then?
I was almost 4.
Almost 4. So it's an early time to start. Yeah. Good times. Okay. So let's go with first of all then. Who's your favourite Coventry player ever?
I can't put it down to one, to be honest, because there's two that just for me were just a cut above everything else, and that was Peterborough and Roland Nielsen. Okay. I think Roland Nielsen was just a class above anything else I've seen. You know, playing at the back for us. I could only ever remember him making one mistake, and unfortunately that was quite a high profile one at Bramall Lane, which gave them a corner, which they scored from late on in the FA Cup quarter final. Yeah, but like I said, as far as I can't remember him making any other mistakes, no. Really. Peter Unlove was just a magician, wasn't he? They called him the African Maradona. It's like he had super glue on his feet, ball stuck to his feet. The goals he scored as well. Yeah, like
Wimbledon, one at Wimbledon. No, sorry, one at home to Wimbledon, wasn't it? And Anfield, of course.
Absolutely.
Because it's interesting because you picked two players there who were so completely different in terms of style and position and. Okay, it's interesting. And also, of course, you picked two players who were from. Well, I mean, Nielsen. When did he play his last game? 2001.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, in more recent years, has there been anybody who?
I would say like, the Sixfield season, we had some really good players at season, but unfortunately most of us missed that.
Did you go then? Very much.
I didn't go at all. Some people stood on the hill, some people went in. I just didn't want to go near the place. So I went to other games. I went to other games. You know, I know people from England games from other clubs, and just went and joined in with them.
So just dotted around the country.
Yeah.
I went to one game, and that was through my work, where I used to work at the Peterborough Telegraph. So I went to Coventry, Peterborough. Yeah. So I've got the kind of. I went, but I didn't. So I can sort of.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Weird. No. Boxing Day. Weird game. Okay, so what's your favourite goal that you've ever seen then? Coventry goal?
Some people say it's got to be a fantastic goal, but my favourite is not a brilliant, superb, outstanding goal. It's actually quite a simple goal. It was against Villa at Highfield Road. We beat them 2-1, and Chippo passed it out to Rick Keane on the wing, and he put it right across the box. And Roussel with a bullet header at the near post, and that meant quite a lot to me. And I was with my granddad at the time. It meant quite a lot to my granddad as well, just because. And also with Robbie Keane being involved and providing the assist, and then he scored the other end as well. That game in particular, I'll always remember it because we were all singing "Sacked" in the morning to Gregory, which was quite fun. And that was good, and because he refused to sign Robbie Keane, didn't he? And it meant so much to Robbie Keane as well, and you could see how much it meant to him. You know, that game, the assist and the goal.
How good were we in those days? See, I was at that game as well. How good were we? Like McAllister and
George Bosa.
Yeah, that era was just. because we didn't know what we had really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at it down the years. For every Huckerby and Dublin, we've had a Howarth and Lightbourne, but you know,
all at the same time.
The ideal
yeah,
partnership when when you know, our two main guys needed a rest. But yeah, so but the end of the day, we were spoilt back then compared to what we've had recently. We were spoilt. You know, but somebody said to me the other day about what was the best Noel Whelan goal. You can't actually decipher what the best one is because they're all brilliant. Noel Whelan was absolutely brilliant, and maybe he should have played a lot higher than, you know, us, Leeds and Middlesbrough, really,
maybe
with his
England
talent
a few times.
Yeah,
well.
Definitely, yeah. And then you've got look at George Boateng, unbelievable. 200 grand we signed him for. Sold him for about 4 million.
From nowhere, and just
absolutely nowhere. And you look how good he was. And again, through England, to speak to Middlesbrough fans. First person we ever speak about when I speak to a Middlesbrough fan is George Boateng. They love him up there as well. He's such a good player. And then you've got the Moroccans, Hadji, Chippo. I mean, Chippo, in fact, during that Villa game, was the most. It was the most composed performance, in best individual performance by a player, you know, I've seen, you know, live. That was Chippo in that game, and then obviously his compatriot, you know, Hadji.
It's difficult to describe to somebody who started supporting Coventry in the past few years what times like that were actually like, wasn't it? You know, I'm sure you remember like when we beat. Well, that season with Arsenal on the Boxing Day, and games like that, and but then you've got to try and encourage young fans to invest in it, and how do you do it? I don't know.
The thing
success, I suppose.
The thing is, success is relative, isn't it? If you've got, like I said, as a 4-year-old, I couldn't say at the time whether we were winning or losing. So as a 4-year-old now going up, even if they can see whether they're winning or losing, they don't care what league we're in. They just want to see it. You know, they just want to have a good time with dad, granddad, mum, auntie, whatever, uncle, and just see if once they learn that they're there to see the team win, and not just have a bag of fruit pastels and a bottle of Diet Coke or whatever, or a fruit shoot. It's all about winning, and they don't care which league we're in. They just want to see us win, and that's what we've got to remember. Yeah.
Okay. So you've kind of answered favourite game or favourite goal. What about some of the grounds you've been to? Because you've been to the 92 in effect, haven't you?
Yeah. Some people say I have done it. I don't class it as I have, because I did it as of last season, but then a couple of teams dropped out. White Hart Lane went, and then that kind of opened. I've got one left now, effectively, which is Spurs at Wembley, but I've been to Wembley plenty of times.
Yeah,
so it's kind of, I don't include it because I haven't seen Spurs play there, but I suppose technically I have.
Yeah, and what are your favourite away grounds that you've been to?
My favourite ground that Coventry have played at was probably White Hart Lane. I loved that ground. Was superb. Proper old school ground. Just everything about it. I just love. Bit controversial, but I like St Andrews. I think it's proper old school ground, and and generally the fans are pretty good as well.
Yeah.
You know that I get on well with Birmingham fans, but like I say, I'm not saying it because of that. I like it as a ground. So, are there any that you don't like then? Like any grounds? Quite a few. Or? Ironically, we're going to Cheltenham this Saturday. The worst stadium I've been to. Not necessarily supporting Coventry, but the worst stadium I've been to. Just Cheltenham. Structurally, or? I just don't like it. I can't put my finger on why. I just don't like it. Any others? Is it just like? Is it difficult? I've never been. Is it difficult? For Coventry, one of the worst ones was Edgar Street, Hereford. Christ. But the thing is, you look at them now. You look at. If I went now, I'd probably feel different about it, because what they've done to get that stadium back means everything to them, and that's how you've got to look at it. So you've got that one that holds 6,000, something like that, and then you've got the Rico that holds 32,600. You know, So it's relative really, but I probably would feel a little bit different about it. Another stadium that we haven't been to yet with Coventry, but I've been as a neutral, was West Ham, and I loved the bowling, absolutely adored it. The new stadium, nah,
It's been a disaster, hasn't
nah, it's horrible, horrible,
in
horrible,
every,
soulless bowl.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole finance around it, and the fact that we're all, it's been an absolute unmitigated disaster.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, well, most
Absolutely.
West Ham fans seem to think so. So, should we have left Highfield Road?
Hindsight, where we are at the moment, no. However,
Yeah.
if you think about it, the original name was Arena 2000. At the end, in the year 2000, we sold Robbie Keane, Hachi, Chippo, McAllister left. That's at the end of that season. To be fair, McAllister probably would have went anyway because he went to Liverpool, so that's fair cop. But I genuinely think that if we would have moved in at that point,
We could have done something.
we would have. I don't think we wouldn't have got relegated in 2001. I don't think we would have been. We would have been in a much better position now. I think.
Well, probably so. I mean, it's easy to say that Highfield Road had a great atmosphere and stuff, but at the time, I don't remember too many. And we needed to expand, I guess,
did,
didn't
yeah.
we? And we couldn't, I agree. Basically, it's sad to see what it is now, Highfield Road, but you kind of have to move on. If you had the atmosphere of 30,000 fully seated every week, we might.
Oh, it would be, yeah, without doubt. It probably. Do you know what? If we sold it out every week, and the away end as well, that's important. If we had either 3,000 or 6,000, depending on how many we give them, every single week in the away end, the atmosphere would be great, and we would probably look on the Rico a bit more, a bit fonder really. But we've got to remember, it's not just about that stadium was built for us, but it's not just about Coventry City. Without that stadium, we'd never have had the Olympic Games in Coventry. We'd never have had Bon Jovi turning up in Oasis. There's so much extra that's come with it that it's done for our city. That you've got to look at the bigger picture sometimes.
What are your thoughts towards Wasps in general?
I personally don't like it. I don't like the fact that they're here. I don't buy into the argument that we've franchised them, because they were playing in Wickham for 10 years before they moved here, 12 years. Then they haven't been a London club for a long time before they came to us. However, to uproot a club and move it that sort of distance, so many occasions, it's wrong and it shouldn't be happening.
It's not real club, is it?
They're here, they're our landlords, and I'd rather they weren't. I personally think long-term success of both clubs, they've got to get together and have some kind of 50-50 partnership. I think if you take the franchising element and the fact that they've moved out of it, Wasps and Coventry City working side by side, it could be a good thing for both clubs. We've got to think about Coventry Rugby Club as well. I mean, I've been to watch them a few times this season, and it's great up there. And it's ironic really, they're having such a good season. The last couple of years have been brilliant for them, and you look at it and they're expanding and they're getting better all the time as well. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Give me a game that sums up being a Coventry fan. I mean, as an example, the Notts County game a couple of weeks ago kind of was one that I thought of.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Going mad, getting an equaliser. With all due respect to them, it's Notts County. We haven't scored the equaliser at Goodison or Anfield or Old Trafford, have we? We scored an equaliser at Notts County. However, it's relative, isn't it? Like I said earlier, to the league we're in, it's relative. And that goal was an important one. Obviously, what happened 40 seconds later? Is something like that?
That is it.
Not ideal.
No, I mean that's the sort of thing that, as a Cov fan, how many times have we seen something like that where we've dominated and the other side scores first, or so many games like that.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, another one. This is a completely off the wall one. But if somebody wanted to ask, if somebody asked me, what's it like to be a Coventry fan? Sum it up, and I would sum it up with a player that never played for us, and is a bit back in the day, 10 years or so ago. Vincent Perricard for Plymouth.
Right.
He scored 23 goals in his career.
Right.
And 3 of them came in 50 minutes against us in a hat-trick for Plymouth. And I think it was 4-0 that day. Awful game. Well, it wasn't a very good game at all. You know, for either, you know, as a neutral, you watch it, God, this is boring. But for me, that sums up having a player that has played as a striker for how many years? A decade and a half probably, and scored 23 goals in the career, and but they scored a hat-trick against us in the space of an hour. That sums up being a Coventry fan for me.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Would you swap teams?
No, never in a million years. There's a lot I would swap.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't swap being a Coventry.
Do you like being a Coventry fan?
I don't know. I don't know really whether I like being a Coventry. Tolerate is probably no. Of course, yeah. You like supporting your club, don't you? At the end of the day, it's in your blood. It's what you know. It's your granddad took you, your dad took you, your uncle took you, and you know your mum, your auntie, your grandma took you. It's just, and they had the same experience. You know, their granddad took them, their dad took them. So it's more of a family thing really, that just gets kind of burnt into your soul really. You've got that club and it's in your heart.
Yeah. Never goes. Name a team and a player that you really don't like. For you know, it doesn't need to be for a rational reason. It can be something they said or something.
The go-to one for us would be Bellamy, obviously, but I'll leave him.
I think it's so universal with him, isn't it? That
it is.
It's just sort of taken as read that a Coventry fan will dislike Craig Bellamy.
Yeah. I don't like Wolves. I've just always disliked them really.
Is that purely for Midlands, or is there just other?
Yeah, and also I don't like the ground. I don't like their the majority of their fans. I'm sure are okay. But
You've encountered
sometimes when we're coming out of there, it's been, you know, you're dodging, you're ducking, you're diving. You're dodging bullets, bottles more like. I found that their fans complained about everything. I'm sure they haven't this season.
No, they've done all right this season, haven't they?
Yeah.
We'll see next season, Charlie.
But yeah, player from back at Lee Griffiths, never liked him. Never liked him. Still don't like him today.
As an England fan, of course, I'm sure you remember last summer.
Yeah, celebrating like they won the World Cup and the Harry Kane pops up.
Yeah.
So we might have to explain to them what the World Cup is. To be fair,
well,
but, you know, a lot of them. So
there are some older fans, I'm sure there are. Tell me about Twitter and football. Do you like Twitter? You've got a lot of followers on Twitter.
I do, yeah. I think there's good elements of it and there's bad elements. Start with the good elements. I think it means that you can interact with people. You can share others' the experiences of others. You find out about things. I mean, you know, if you really wanted to know we're coming up and playing against Cheltenham this weekend. You go on their forum and have a look to see what they're thinking about this weekend, and you just have a look to see what the replies are to the previews on through their official Twitter account.
Find out what pubs to drink at and all that. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, you can speak to their fans and stuff. You can, I've spoken to some fans of clubs and just met up with them. And said, well, can we come and have a drink with you and whatever. And you don't necessarily have friends for life, but you bump into them again. And
acquaintances for the time, yeah.
And the bad things, I would say, players. You see it sometimes where players have do a tweet at the end, fans were class, you know, and it's always the same thing. It's so generic,
Yeah.
and it rarely comes. You're looking at it, you think, "What fair play?" You know, you're trying to interact with the fans and stuff, but a lot of the time it is generic, and sometimes you get insert quote about fans
From a
you get
PR
that
person.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's their dad or their agent or their PR, and
Yeah.
even you can see it in League Two teams. You know, you've got players playing for them that have insert quote here about supporters and
Say
with
something about.
asterisks.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like players being, fair enough, vent your anger about players between me and you, between that person over there, or actually on Twitter, you know, to say, oh God, Dave was useless the other, you know, earlier, wasn't he? What was Nigel doing there, missing that? But don't tweet their actual accounts, you know, because at the end of the day, if they want to find something about themselves, they'll search. But if you put it into their mentions, that's the last thing they need to be reading.
And also, of course, even if you don't, sometimes the abuse, you know, they tweet their wives as well, don't they?
Yeah, it's wrong.
Children and
Completely wrong. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we've seen, like, to take one from this season, for instance, Vincenzi. I mean, if he is on Twitter or ever looks at Twitter, some of the things that he must have read about.
Yeah,
and
it's just not. It just ain't. It just isn't nice. I mean, I've got my opinions on him. I had a lot of hopes for him at the start of the season. I was thinking he was going to be one of our stars, really.
And he hasn't.
He hasn't quite performed, but there's a player in there.
Yeah, it's not for the lack of trying, is it?
There is. He has tried. There's a player in there. I don't dislike him. I just think it just doesn't work.
No, and he won't be there next season. You can't possibly imagine, can you? But well, that depends on circumstances, doesn't it? Depends on what league we're in for a start. Okay. Who do you wish could have played for your team in history? If one player could have played for your... I guess I'm asking who your favourite player is away from Coventry. Or who could have fitted in.
As a kid, I loved Kanchelskis. It was just
Pace.
what he did at Leicester, where he stood on the ball. He was taking the mickey the whole time. I'm sure it was at Leicester.
Yeah.
Where he stood on, he just looked like that, and then he just thought, superb. So you know that.
Yeah, he was talent, wasn't he? And part of an exciting team as well.
Yeah.
Giggs on the other side.
Yeah, Giggs, another one. I loved him as a kid. Gaza. Paul Gascoigne.
Imagine him.
Paul Gascoigne.
Imagine him at Highfield Road.
I tell you what, if he would have played another 5-6 years, we would have been, I genuinely think you would have been looking at him in you know, Beckenbauer, Bobby Moore, Cruyff, Pele, Maradona, that sort of level, because when I was watching him as a kid, I thought he was that good. He was just unbelievable, wasn't he?
Circumstance took it away from him, didn't it? And, well, his own personality, I guess, as well.
More recent, from the Championship, the player I would have loved to have seen play for us was Paul Robinson. Paul Robinson, from Blues, West Brom. What a player. You know,
Long
career. Superb Championship level player. Did a bit in the Premier League as well, obviously, but yeah. Paul Robinson.
Well, when he retired, am I thinking of the right? He got so many sort of
he did,
from
every club he probably played against. You know, fans were tweeting in saying, "Oh, I wish he'd played for us." You know, and that
it's made you feel good, mustn't it, as a player to sort of get that recognition. No, good shout.